U.S. President Donald Trump has warned that Americans could feel some pain from a tariff he imposed on Canada, Mexico, and China. Top Democrats like Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer are calling on Trump to stop what they fear will lead to an all-out trade war. Canada and Mexico have announced that they will be hitting back with their own duties on U.S. goods. Trump cited irregular immigration, drug trafficking, and imbalanced trade as the reasons for setting the tariffs. Rüdiger Bachmann is professor of economics at the University of Notre Dame. Thank you very much for joining us. So Trump has said that what he described, thank you. Trump has said that what he described as the pain that the American people will experience from a trade war will be worth the price. What's your take?
I doubt that, frankly, because there was a sort of, in theory, tariffs can lead actually, or the impact of tariffs can be mitigated by exchange rate effects and exchange rate appreciation if there's no retaliation. That's important. But predictably, retaliation is already happening. And what we are seeing now is that, yeah, frankly, everyone in the world that is subject to these tariffs and will retaliate is worse off, because what we are essentially doing is undoing the enormous productivity gains that we have gotten over the last decades because of an international division of labor. Right? People can specialize, countries can specialize in what they are doing best, and that requires that goods cross borders often multiple times. If you think about cars or iPhones, and that's something we are basically now throwing into chaos, frankly.
Well, and as you were mentioning there, we've already seen the announcement of tariffs and counter tariffs, but do you think they're a done deal?
Yeah, I mean, this is it. We are in a trade war now, and that doesn't mean that we can't get out of it through negotiations. But for now, we are in a situation of a trade war, and the longer this lasts, this trade war, the worse off everyone on both sides of these borders is.
Well, and do you think other countries will have to worry about similar tariff attacks if there isn't a major economic blowback from the ones that Trump has already announced?
He said that the EU will be next. I have no reason to doubt this. Who knows what he will do to other countries? He doesn't seem to distinguish between, traditional friends or foes of the United States. In fact, China is getting seemingly a better deal right now than the allies Mexico and Canada. And so it seems random. And today he just said we are now in the phase of going from the golden age of America. We are going now to the phase of there will be some pain, and I expect in the next couple of weeks we will hear from the MAGA movement that it's Americans' patriotic duty to suffer this pain and go through it. And so I don't see this anytime ending soon.
Well, let's focus in on the European Union for just a second. Now, both Trump and German Chancellor Olaf Scholz have weighed in on this current tariff strike, and let's listen to what they had to say about that.
Am I going to impose tariffs on the European Union? Do you want the truthful answer, or should I give you a political answer? Absolutely. And we are treated so badly. They don't take our cars. They don't take our farm products, essentially. They don't take almost anything. And we have a tremendous deficit with the European Union, so we'll be doing something very substantial with the European Union.
As far as the European Union is concerned, I can say that it's a strong economic area. It has its own scope for action. And building on this strength, we can also clearly say that together we will try to continue economic relations with a view to cooperation and collaboration.
Now, we've been hearing from economists both in Canada and Mexico that both countries could be facing a deep recession due to this trade war. Do you think the European Union is better equipped to go toe-to-toe with the United States?
In some sense, yes, because it's just larger. It's a larger market, so it has more bargaining power. It is, after all, the largest market in some sense in the world. If, and that's an important if the Europeans stick together and try not to get special deals on a bilateral basis, right? And there is some doubt that they will stick together when I think about Viktor Orban, for example, I would say Italy under Meloni is not a safe bet for the European Union. But if the European Union sticks together, I think they can sort of last longer. But again, this is bad for everyone because it's a tax on international trade, which means it's a tax on productivity gains from the International Division of Labor. And in the end, everyone will suffer. The United States, EU, everyone in this trade war.
And where does this leave Germany? Its economy is especially dependent on foreign trade and exports. Do you think they'll suffer more if a full-on trade war is declared between the United States and the EU?
Yes, absolutely. It's Germany is built on sort of an export-intensive economy. Now, to be fair, that was probably a little overdone, and Germany has always been warned a long time ago, even by more sort of amicable U.S. administrations, to not overdo it with their trade surplus. So there's some argument that Germany also needs to get its act together. But yeah, Germany, especially since we are also seeing problems in China and sort of import substitution in China away from German imports from the viewpoint of China. This is not good for the German economy, especially since it was already in not a good shape.
All right, that was Rüdiger Bachmann from the University of Notre Dame. Thank you very much for your insights.
Let's get more from our Washington correspondent, Max Zander. Max, any chances that this trade war can still be prevented?
Well, Monica, it seems, for the moment at least, that the Trump administration is adamant to follow through with these tariffs. Trump explicitly said that there's nothing that Mexico, Canada, or China can do at the moment to delay these tariffs from kicking in this coming week. And part of the reason, among others, why these tariffs are put into place, according to the message by the president, is to punish neighboring countries like Canada and Mexico for the influx of undocumented migrants, as he calls it, and for the influx of fentanyl, a very dangerous drug that is wreaking havoc all across the country here. So according to that message, these countries would have to bring down the numbers significantly in a very short amount of time, which is probably not going to happen. In addition to that, Canada only has a fraction of fentanyl crossing its border, as well as undocumented migrants there. But what we're seeing already is that, companies are preparing for the impact. We've seen a slight uptick on trucks crossing the border, trying to bring in goods before these large tariffs kick in.
Now, obviously, those tariffs that Trump imposed will also impact American consumers, American business. But Trump says, quote, "The pain will be worth the price." What is Trump trying to achieve here?
I mean, Trump is, as I said, trying to sell it as a lesson to neighboring countries. He's also trying to show Americans that he is putting America first, putting the domestic economy first. That's why he issued this executive order, essentially widening the state of national emergency that we saw in when it came to immigration or to energy. Now we're seeing this in the trade area as well. Part of the things that he is actually trying to achieve also is to raise revenue. I mean, we're looking at 10 to 25% tariffs on roughly $350 billion imports monthly. So this could be a large increase of revenue there if trade were to continue as before the tariffs. In addition to that, he wants to balance trade. The U.S. has a trade deficit with these countries that he imposed tariffs on already, but also with the EU, in particular with Germany also. There's a widening gap there. So this is something to look at. And in addition to that, this is also seen as a negotiation tool, right? Even though Trump claims it is not the case, but likely it's seen as him trying to make these countries do as he pleases.
Now, that's politics, of course. How are U.S. Americans reacting to that?
Right. I mean, there are a lot of Americans that buy into this, this was one of his main campaign promises, right? To put America first, put the American economy first. He has received some praise for this. He's even received some praise from business owners. But this is likely also going to hurt American business owners, especially those who do not source manufacturers, for example, who produce in the U.S., but don't source their raw materials domestically, but have to import it. There's going to be a tariff that's going to be on there, perhaps 25%. rising costs in the manufacturing process. These costs are going to be handed over to the consumer more likely, and this is going to contribute to raising prices in the U.S. most likely. In addition to that, we're seeing retaliation. We're seeing Canada having tariffs in the works, for example, other countries probably following suit, and this could also disrupt the global economy to a certain extent. So this will have an effect on people in the U.S. Very likely.
All right, DW's Max Zander there in Washington. Thank you so much, Max.